हो गया भाई, स्नाइपर यूनिटी। बाबूजी आ जाओ बोले, साथ में सेशन ले लेते हैं, क्या दिक्कत है। ऑडियो में ये हटा दूंगा ना, वो लगा देंगे अपन, है ना। हाँ हाँ।
वो विकास नहीं, एक विकास पटेल है। श्री विद्यापीठ का छात्र संघ अध्यक्ष था। E com que me gusta.
Hi all, we are just waiting for just a few more attendees to join. We'll start the session in a few minutes from now.
Hello.
Hi Arvind. Just a couple of minutes, Arvind. We are expecting few more people to join the session. Attendees are just signing in. We'll start the session in a couple of minutes, Arvind.
No problem. Well,
Yeah, Arvind.
is this session being recorded?
Yes, actually, we are recording the session.
Great. Yeah, it'll be great if it can be recorded because I would need a copy of it later.
Yeah, definitely. We are recording this session. Just a couple of more minutes and we'll start. Okay. Hello and welcome to one and all. I'm Vel Murugan, Director of Sniper Systems. Today's session is part of Sniper Synergy 2020 series of webinars. This event is organized and presented to you by Sniper in association with Unity. We at Sniper come with 17 plus years of experience in helping our clients evaluate, adapt, and integrate new age technology into their production pipeline. Today's event is part of Today's event is part of our initiative to introduce our clients to latest technology, technique, and industry best practices. In today's session, we will be delving deep into how Unity real-time and parallel workflow is transforming the animation industry. We'll share a few of success stories of studios who have successfully transitioned to real-time and parallel workflow and how hugely it has benefited both in terms of time and cost saved by these studios. To take us through this wonderful journey, today we have Mr. Arvind Neelagandan, Technology Head for Unity in India. Arvind has been part of Nickelodeon and Disney India's core team. We would address at the end of the session. Do feel free to type your questions in the meeting chat box. I'm happy to hand it over the session to Mr. Arvind. Over to you, Mr. Arvind.
Thanks for the introduction, Vel. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So can I have the ability to share my screen, Vel?
Yes, Manoj.
Yes, Arvind, you can try now. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right.
Just give me 1 second. All right. Thank you everyone for joining this session. Hope everyone and your loved ones are staying safe during these times. My name is Arvind Nilakantan. I'm the head of technology for Unity India, and I specialize in film and animation. I'm going to be talking about creating animated films using Unity. So what you'll hear today is an introduction to what has happened last year with Unity, some of catch you up on some of the technology improvements that we have done. I will show you some of Unity's latest productions or internal productions called Heretic and Windup. I'll then show you some of the productions that has been made by our Unity community and studios worldwide, including in India. And then I'll show you some behind the scenes about the making of Heretic and of Windup. And a quick overview of where Unity stands in terms of animation production today. And then at the very end, I'll spend some time answering questions for you. So I'm going to start with a short introduction, bringing you all up to speed on what happened in the world of Unity and with Unity productions in the last year. So we have a lot of new updates to bring you in the area of technology we are developing. We have made huge advances in graphics, specifically on our high definition render pipeline or HDRP. It is now officially ready and it is ready to use in production. And this also includes our node-based VFX graph and HDRP-based VR functionality. For people over here who are unfamiliar with HDRP, the high definition render pipeline is designed to produce very high quality visuals with relative ease. We are also working on real-time ray tracing using NVIDIA's RTX card, which is really a big game changer for future productions and higher quality. We also made an incredible acquisition of Artomatics and Art Engine, which allows for AI-based or AI-assisted artistry. In animation-specific packages, we also have some great news. We have released our recorder that allows you to record video, audio, image sequences, animation, and geometry directly from Unity. We have also released our AOV or render passes recorder. And we have worked to make sure that you have a seamless and smooth round tripping between Unity and your DCC tools through Alembic, USD, and FBX file formats. And all of this happened just in the span of last year. In terms of internal productions, we have an internal productions team where we have been creating films using Unity for several years now. We also had the incredible honor of being chosen as one of Annecy Animation Festival's official selection in 2017, by the way. Earlier this year, we released a new short film called The Heretic, which is entirely made with Unity. I'm going to talk about this film, but before I do that, here is a clip of that movie. Now, the entire movie is too long to play here, so I'm just going to play a small section from it so that you get a gist of what the movie and the render quality is all about. You can, of course, watch the entire movie online on YouTube or on unity.com/theheretic. We play that.
Okay, here we go. So who exactly is this guy? You're kidding. They're a fairy tale, Boston. Don't be an idiot.
So that's one part, and then the other part.
Here it is, the last one. We know that now.
Give it to me.
Give it to me. That's why I'm here.
So I'll talk more about the Heretic later on in just a bit. And now let me mention the other production that we are working on, with which we built a very extensive case study on how to use Unity for animation. It's a short film called The Windup, which is about a little girl. This film has an entirely different style and entire different vibe than what was previously shown. And I'm going to play the trailer of that film right now. So these were two internal productions that we made this year, and I will talk in great detail about Windup and how we made it. And before I do that, let me also walk you through some of the productions that have been made by the Unity community themselves. So I'll start off with a project that was made right here in India, Pure Imagination Studios in America, along with Zebu Animation Studios in Bangalore and in Trivandrum. They make a lot of Lego content for TV, web, and theme parks. They made these short films for COVID PSAs to encourage people to keep washing their hands and keep clean. Now, Zebu Animation work on a traditional offline rendering pipeline. And after showing them what they can achieve with Unity, we worked with Zebu for a little over a month to onboard them and their team to a real-time rendering pipeline. So this is what their production looked like. Let me show you a complete clip of it. And you can find all of this on YouTube.
Pardon me, Batman, but we're rolling.
1 second. 999. 1,000. Sorry, had to get my swole on. Camera ready, you know. Okay, so I hear you need my help. Something about a dude named COVID?
Actually, we're here to discuss the novel coronavirus, also known as COVID-19.
Lame nickname, but show me where he is and I will batter him. Bad pun intended.
I'm afraid you can't beat this up.
Wrong.
It's invisible.
You're invisible.
Look, it's not a person, it's a virus. Viruses are tiny particles that infect living hosts to reproduce.
Gross.
There are millions of different viruses.
I'm just going to stop there, but I really love the look and the humor of that of Lego Batman in general. Another production is Be Water Animation, has this project where they had to make a 26 episode animation with 26 different sets with different locations in the world and having high quality fur for the main characters. It's like Zootopia meets Indiana Jones kind of a TV show. Now, the idea to be able to produce this with a television animation budget was to do all of the background sets in Unity and render all the main characters in an offline render engine. And last year, they were right in the middle of the production. And right now, their season 1 is finished. They were on time, on quality, and on budget. They set up a very interesting hybrid pipeline to achieve this. And they have thoroughly tested this pipeline during season 1. Now they have signed up for season 2 with additional content that will be published as a 3-minute episode on the web. They're very happy with the production and they'll be reusing the same pipeline that you're seeing over here for season 1. And I was talking about real-time ray tracing earlier, which is a real game changer, as I mentioned. And since it's very hard to achieve effects like real-time reflections or complex translucencies, they are now going to be pushing this in the second season. So let me show you a trailer of season 1 right now.
All around the world, hidden in the most unexpected places, there are wonderful treasures.
Super creepy.
You trekkers must face unknown dangers and mysteries to protect them.
We're up against sheep? Is this a joke?
It's a race against time.
Come on, guys, let's go.
Get ready for a great adventure.
up there. So another example is the folks from Studio 100 in France, who had unfortunately had some organizational changes last year, got back together to form a new studio called Hugh Dada early this year, in fact. And they have already done a few developments in production, such as shipping interstitials for TF1, which is a French TV channel, which is 17 times 35 seconds each. And they're also working on commercials, interactive animation for theme parks and TV series, all based on the real-time pipeline. They really wanted to leverage their expertise around working in real time. So they developed this pipeline of developing assets in DCCs such as Maya or Blender and injecting them inside Unity. And from then on, the entire production was done in Unity, including look dev, set dressing, lighting, sequencing, puppeteering, editing, and rendering directly from the Unity engine. Yeah, directly from the Unity engine to, and which essentially made their animation production cycles a lot faster. They found that with their experience, that instant feedback and the need not to really render because it's all real time, collaborative workflows were enable them to have fast turnarounds for their clients. Edmund and Lucy is a very popular children's book. I love this this production. Now, Miam Animation used Unity for TV adaptation of this book. It produced a lot of wows and gasps when we showed it when we showed this trailer last year. What I'm going to show is a video of the interactive trailer. Now here, let me just play that. So what you're really seeing here is they have made use of real-time layouting. So you can just move around the production just like that. They're also using making use of real-time lighting situations, changing the shadows just like that. And they're also playing around with real-time camera, so they can fix the camera from wherever they rotate. They're also doing real-time compositing. Now this is very cool. They are also using, they're also customizing characters, and at the same time they also have multi-visual options. So you can see that the owl is now reading the Daily Hoot, which is an English newspaper. Now, if you want to publish this to multiple languages, you can very well do that by just switching them around. This also features real-time flow, which they also use. And the cool thing about this is because this was all made in Unity, which is a game engine, this production is also game rich. So with the same with the same assets, with the same environment, they also in fact publishing a mobile video game, and they didn't have to do any extra effort because all of this is in a game engine anyway. So when this trailer was shown last year, they got their production greenlit with 52 episodes of 12 minutes each, and they have started production this March, just when COVID hit. This is a screenshot of a TV commercial for Nike. I love those shoes. You can see that they have already had around 200,000 plus likes on Instagram. This commercial is going to be coming out very soon, so keep in touch so that I can talk more about this. Aardman Animation, who are very famous for their Wallace and Gromit series, just announced an AR experience that is coming up called the Big Fix Up. Now, you'll be able to bring Wallace and Gromit's world right into your life and help them solve a mystery inside your house, for example. Now, they're one of the first users of a product we announced early last month called Unity Mars, which stands for Mixed Augmented Reality Studio, which is a framework that lets you create animations that are spatially aware. So when you develop a story for augmented reality, you have to make the characters adapt to the environment, which is pretty hard to do. So Mars allows you to test this under various environment conditions and also make it react to environmental conditions. So definitely check out Mars if you're creating AR-based animations. A big leap that we made last year was with digital humans, like the ones that you saw in the Heretic demo. Now we have everything inside vanilla Unity, which is the Unity editor, to help you create this. So the girl you are seeing here is not the developer of this digital human. It's actually one indie developer, and he created his own girl. And you can see the quality that you get here is thanks to the real-time ray tracing, because you know that like ambient occlusion is very important on the face. So especially for the mouth and the face, mouth and the nose. And it's difficult to calculate ambient occlusion using traditional techniques in real time, which was then solved using ray tracing. What is impressive is that it is not just still images. They worked with a company called Deform Dynamics, who have a plugin for Unity that helps you simulate real-time clothes and hair. These videos were captured live on the computer of the indie developer, and all simulations is happening in real time for both her hair and fur. Now, the developer is also using the iPhone X facial recognition capabilities to capture the facial features in real time. And finally, there is this big trend these days. You probably all have heard of virtual production, where you put real time behind the screen of an actor or on back of the sets. And at the beginning of the year, we received the making of videos from students from Stuttgart in Germany. They showed how a student project that they created with the setup with camera tracking feeding inside Unity, and then reprojecting them based on the camera view on the back of the actors. And at the bottom right, you can see that they even created a companion app that lets the directors and the DP change the set lighting intensity and even replace the background with a green screen, all with real-time rendering. Now, there is a very extensive making of blog on this link that I have on the top. So if you're interested to know more about it, definitely check it out. So that kind of brings to an end some very choice examples of the work that has been done by the Unity community. And I really love how very diverse all of these productions and how different each of these art styles are. There are so many productions that happened this year with Unity, but I just wanted to show you just a few which I thought were quite cool. So now let's go back to the Heretic. Now we have a drive within Unity to improve our technology and create our own productions. And with Heretic, we really wanted to explore hyper-realistic high-end graphics. We also wanted to explore the film pipeline within Unity. And we have had the film pipeline for very many years now, and we just kept building on top of it. And in this production, we wanted to introduce a digital human in a short film, and we also wanted to explore VFX-driven characters. The team were all working remotely. In fact, the team had 12 Unity employees. There were a bunch of freelancers and vendor companies. The freelancers and vendors were used mostly for things like motion capture, 3D capture, and data precision for the actor. In fact, there is a lot of information about this in unity.com/theheretic. There you can also watch the complete 7-minute film instead of just the clip I showed you right now. We are also very keen to share the learnings and the tools that were used to develop this throughout the production. We have already released the digital human package, with which you can see how we put together this digital human. I'll show you very quickly how the package looks directly inside the Unity project.
When I was a kid, my dad used to say, don't let anything stand in your way. Stand tall, think clear.
You got one shot at this.
Let them see hate or fear.
I've got one shot at this.
All my walls are covered in words, and while you sleep, I mark my goals. Stand tall, think clear. Don't let them see a hint of fear. Cut some cords, scratch some scars. Put on your cape and jump from the car. Open your mouth, take a deep breath. Run fast and don't stop at the end. You can be anything you want. You can be everything you choose. Do not let it slip away. 'Cause if you never try it, you never know. You can be anything you want. You can be everything you choose. Do day.
So I love this. It's got this guy doing a ramp walk, and this is a way for us to give back to the community. It's a way for you to completely disassemble, to learn from, to do research, to do benchmarking, or use however you want to use it to dissect how to create a digital human within Unity environment. The other package we have released for this film is the VFX character package. Now, we don't only show the character on about the character that we showed in the film. We also show you the process and the tooling that allows you to create your own VFX driven characters. And I'm going to show you that as well and how it works within Unity. And we're also creating extensive documentation on the making of how we made this film. We have already released the making of for the environments, also a step-by-step article on how we can create a digital character. And there are also going to be additional articles that we're writing on the same link, unity.com/the-heretic. And you will find our article on code-driven VFX, which is what we used for that companion bird the bird character that you saw at the beginning of the film. And we're also working on an article dedicated for filmmaking, which covers how we made our camera, how we made our animation, and what it means to do editing inside Unity itself. And at the same time, all of our teams work remotely. So an article on how we worked remotely to capture dailies, our communication tools, and the review tools will also be soon out. And this is especially helpful during this pandemic time. And with that, we wrap up Heretic. Now let's get into Windup. Now, Windup, it's a very similar production to Heretic, where all of us worked remotely and we spanned 3 different continents. So we were distributed across China, USA, Canada, Sweden, France, Spain, Germany, and there were 7 Unity employees and 9 freelancers who were doing a number of freelancing kind of work, which I mentioned earlier. Now, the first thing that we did right after we wrote the script was we blocked the environment where the action is taking place. And in order to quickly build the scene and visualize the framework of the whole story, our scene design begins with like a game making layout. We drew the map roughly and set the size scale of each scene. It took us about only a day or 2 to do this, but we saved a lot of time on set design and previs. Let me show you a video of that. Now, this character is mapped on a game. This allows us to explore the environment, and we don't have to decide on our camera, on our frames based on. We didn't have to decide on a camera or a frame based on the traditional way of storyboarding, and instead we were able to find how our distancing worked. What are some of the interesting places which you can see in the film? And with this, we were able to make a very rough prototype of the film with this level of quality. This is, of course, not the final quality of the asset, but it helped us pre-visualize the entire movie from start to finish. When we had done that, we then kicked off the process of getting to the final quality of the movie, which includes look dev through rendering. A lot of things gets done in parallel, such as when the content gets created in the DCC, we replace them in Unity, or when the shading library was being prepared, we did the look dev, or when we started with lighting early on, we just worked all of that in parallel. We also worked the cameras right inside Unity also. For this project, we were editing the film in 2 stages. We broke the film down into 2 scenes. We worked on them separately. And we rendered these scenes out with the final post done and assembled the entire movie in Premiere, where we also dropped the audio. We then rendered the final movie with the audio. In terms of visuals, nothing was touched outside of Unity. The final pixel was definitely rendered out of Unity, but it was just assembled in Premiere. Now, this approach really made it easier for teams to work together, especially when they were working remotely across different time zones. And this also enables you to work on a longer format. We developed a very small tool for this production, which shows different locations, as you can see right here. Locations within the set, that is. Now, the unit of production is one location and lighting. So here you can see there's a hospital day and night button right there. And when I open the hospital night, 3 scenes open together. One is the set, and one is the lighting, and one is for animation. So if you open up hospital day, the same set as previously opened will remain, with the lighting scene will just get switched to denote a daytime scene. So all of these sequences are isolated. So if your production crew is distributed around the world, you just have to upload the part of the project that you're working on instead of the entire project itself. Then we started building a modular asset library. So if you come from or if you're even mildly familiar with how games work, this is something that should be fairly familiar to you about building modular assets. We then created a material library. So for materials, especially scene materials, we'll make a lot of flat and layered materials similar to what you do in movies. And in the run-up to production, we use the script and the original assets to estimate which materials we'll be using in the film. And we built material balls in advance of different levels of aging, because this movie spans across different timelines. And then we used a well-colored plane on the vertex in the test scene so that we can see intuitively the layered material effect. And you can see that on a single plane, and you can see different aging degrees of the same material over time. Now, the performance requirements for tessellation shader on the machine are quite high. Until the scene gets bigger and bigger, a lot of people are working from home, the computer will just crash. So finally, we stipulated that there can only be a maximum of 1 or 2 tessellation shaders in the scene, and not in large areas, definitely. So pixel displacement in shader for flat objects also had a very similar effect as the tessellation shader. It does not add any poly count, so the rendering configuration is very cheap compared to the tessellation shader. And ever since we restricted the use of some of the very expensive features, we haven't heard of anyone who can't open the scene or always just kind of stuck. And many people now download some stickers on textures.com, which are then scanned and packaged, and they contain all of the stickers. But not all the map needs to be used, especially for the far and near planes. And the simplest way, if you delete the height map, the final picture, it really doesn't make any difference at all. And if you start separating the production of assets with the rendering, then iterations will become hard, and you want to give some freedom to be able to edit assets within the context of the film. And in pre-production, a lot of work was done for the roots that you saw in the trailer, and they wanted the artists wanted to place them dynamically. So let me show you what they did. They used Houdini's Unity plugin to procedurally generate roots directly inside the scene. So you just place some guides. Yeah, so you just place some guides and it'll automatically generate roots with the same style as your film. So you can see it right here, it's a Houdini engine. And this was the same technique. So you can also see some wires hanging around at the bottom. These were the same techniques that was used for the wires also. And in the process of developing vegetation, we also worked on shader graph to animate these leaves. You can also see some cool subsurface scattering happening here also. And yeah, a shader graph is a node-based editor with which you can create shaders. I'll get more into it later on. Now within Unity, we also have all the necessary tools for you to create skin, hair, fabric master nodes for any kind of digital human or any kind of characters. And we have different settings for you to create your own hair, such as managing transparency, the different levels of hair cards that you want, and whatnot. So this is an example of that within the editor itself. right? And in rigging this piece, we had to use bones as much as possible. And so the final animation had to be exported as an FBX file from Maya, and it had to be put on the Unity timeline. We were very fortunate to be working with Victor Vinyals. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He's like a legendary rigger, has a wealth of cartoon animation rigging experience. And for Victor, using the Unity engine to make real-time rendering animation was also a very interesting attempt. And it was and it was real challenging to eventually import the cartoon-bound method of into Unity through the usage of bones. Now, this is pretty significant because earlier, a lot of people were using Alembic to import their animated characters from Maya into Unity, but you don't need to do that anymore. So for animation, so this is how it was working. So having animated from a traditional animation background and going into Unity's instant rendering really was kind of shocking to Victor. With just a few simple actions, the rig can be imported into the Unity engine, just like you're doing right there. So once you export, you are pretty much instantaneously, you can see the effect of that inside Unity. So you just drag and drop it inside Unity, blam, and it's and you see the effect of that animation. You just drop it into the timeline. And you not only see the animation, you also see the light, you see the special effects, any later effects that you're going to add, such as post-processing and so on. So what would typically take a few weeks to see, maybe in a traditional pipeline, you're seeing it pretty much instantaneously inside Unity. And that's a very powerful tool. And in productions, this is definitely something I'm excited about, is that there was no custom materials that were written. Now, the standard HDRP material was what that was used throughout the production. For example, the carpet, the floor, all just use the default HDRP material. And if you can, of course, change the set, the background, the color of the desk, and it's all something that you can see happening in real time. So for example, if the director wanted to change a set in the background, so on the left-hand side is the scene view, and on the right-hand side is the final rendered view. So if the director wanted to change something, like move that little flower pot, and it'll just move, and that's what you see in the final render. You can also, let's say you want to move the trunk, you can absolutely do that too. If you want to change the color of that of the background, let's say because this main character, she likes red, for example, you want to add more redness to the entire scene, you just do it, and it just happens all in real time, as you can see right there. So there you go. Now you have a red chest, and it's just instantaneously see it. And if the set designer wants to move some objects around, you can absolutely do that too, and change the color all in real time. So in case that pipe needs to be more metallic, for example, you can do that too. Play around with the smoothness, and all of this is just not any custom shader or custom material. It is just the default HDRP material node that you're going to be seeing. A cool thing is you can also add like physics properties in here. So if you want to like drop something, make something look like it has been scattered on the ground, you can create those kinds of animations. So this is especially useful when you want to create something like a forest environment. So you just want to drop some sticks to make them look more natural. Physics can also be applied and baked into your environment so that you can also set dress your environment accordingly. All right, we're going to move on. So for, I don't know if you remember the frost that you saw during the trailer. We use the shader graph functionality, which works in tandem with the timeline. So you're able to inform or kind of sequence how the shader graph is going to be working based on the timeline itself. And for lighting, we made a big progress in Unity. In real time, you can turn on and off light, of course. You can go further, such as changing the direction, changing the diffuse. You can also affect the specular You can also dim the entire contribution of the light. You can also change the penumbra of the shadow, which I'll just show it to you in just a bit. So if you want to change the diffuse, you can absolutely do that. You can also affect the specular, as I mentioned earlier. Dim it out, which kind of dims the entire contribution of the directional light that is available right there. And you can also change the, if you want to change the penumbra of the shadow, which kind of looks weird if you ask me. But yeah, you can go crazy and do all of those kind of things. You can also change the
version.
Sorry. You can also change the softness of the shadow, which will kind of reflect what kind of weather is there at that point of at that day and whatnot. Same thing applies to volumetrics also. Everything is done within Unity. All of your volumetric lighting is just done within this environment itself. Now, I briefly talked about Alembic. We did not use Alembic except in one place where the father has some tears come streaming out of his eyes. That was the only place where we used Alembic, and that animation was done outside of Unity. Now, all of this does not require you to have a buffed up hardware. In fact, for Windup, we had a pretty commercially available laptop. It had an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080. It had 32 GB of RAM, Windows 10, of course, and it was it's a pretty straightforward commercial computer that you need. This was not made with any buffed up system. So now it's your turn. With the ability to create animations, with all of the nodes available within Unity for you to create characters, for you to create sets, for you to create lighting, for you to create post-processing, you should be able to create your own animated content today. Now, today we have, as Unity today, we have released our long-term support version last month called 2019.4. HDRP 7.4.1, which includes the VFX graph and shader graph, is also production ready. A lot of cinematic specific packages such as Recorder and AOV Recorder, Alembic support, Cinemachine, and are all out. And there's also more to come, absolutely, because we keep developing on top of it. I would encourage you all to go to unity.com, unity.com's film page to explore and keep up to date on what is really going on, what is something that we're adding on. If you want to learn more about how to create real-time animated storytelling, we now have a specific Learn section on Unity Learn. It's called Unity Learn Premium, but it's now completely free. You can get on there and you can go through that course to learn step by step on how to create an animated shot using Unity. Now let's open it for Q&A. By the way, you can also ask questions on our forum, where we have a very active community asking and answering questions about Unity. If any of you are also interested in being an alpha or beta testers for any of our upcoming features, definitely contact me. I'd be more than happy to add you into that. You can fill that form using this QR code so that we can add you as part of the alpha and beta tester. So with that, I am done. I am now open for questions. I hope you found it relevant and hopefully you found it useful. I am definitely hoping to see a lot more productions coming out of India using Unity, because I definitely see a traction happening right now.
Thank you very much, Arvind. Wonderful session and definitely useful. Arvind, there are a few queries being posted in the chat window. If you could, take them up one by one, that will be helpful.
Great. Okay, so let me go through them. Okay, let's see. Okay, Jitendra had a question. Can we do character modeling in here? No, Unity is not a modeling software. We leave that for you to do it inside Maya or Blender or any other DCC tool. That said, we have a rudimentary modeling tool, a free tool available inside Unity called the Pro Tools, with which you can build some basic models and then round trip them back into Unity, back into your DCC tool rather. Once you've done that, but your character modeling and rigging has to be done outside of Unity. Abhimanyu said, is this all being rendered in Unity? Yes, it is in Unity. Thank you, Swapnil, for answering that. All right. All right. Beautiful. How is this useful in the AEC industry? Well, AEC industry is interesting because you get very, very realistic, physically accurate lighting and materials, which means if you're doing a walkthrough, if you're doing if you are, and I also briefly mentioned about augmented reality, you can sync your Revit models or your Rhino models or SketchUp models from Revit, Rhino, and SketchUp directly inside the Unity environment. Okay, question from Suki Singh. How can we handle multiple textures from Maya to Unity? It just maps together. You don't really need to do anything fancy. As long as you export it as an FBX file, all of the texture information is baked into, I would say baked, but it's embedded into the FBX file itself. Okay, questions from Gaurav. Are there any plugins which support exporting cache with texture to Unity? Using FBX can slow down Unity with large scenes. That's not true. Okay, so exporting cache with texture is a pretty simple plugin that that is part of the film and television package that's available for free within the package manager inside Unity. So cache is Alembic. So when you export an Alembic file from Maya, for example, and bring it inside Unity, there is a very simple tool that automatically maps the texture for you within Unity also. You can check it out. It's called Alembic Material Mapper. And in fact, I wrote that. So it's pretty confident it works. Okay. And to answer your second part of the question, using FBX can slow down Unity with large scenes. I don't believe that's true. In fact, cache is the one that typically slows you down. FBX is very, very light, and throughout this wind-up process, wind-up animated shot, we used FBX throughout. Like I said, the only place where we used Alembic was the tier, but otherwise everything was FBX, and I would recommend that you use FBX throughout. Okay. Okay. Question is, what other questions? Is virtual production AR wall studios available in India? Are you talking about LED walls? If not, if you're talking about LED walls, Varadarajan, it is not. LED walls don't exist in India yet. Even if you want to import it, most of them are being made in China. So it's and thanks to COVID, it's a double whammy. It's very hard to get hold of LED screens if that's what you're talking about. Okay, question from Gaurav. What tool is being used to export rig to Unity? It's just Maya. Maya with FBX files. Okay, question. Can you get this webinar on YouTube? Yeah, so this session is being recorded. So I will upload this to YouTube, and if you can just send me an email, Suyog.
Arvind, we are actually doing a live stream.
Oh, great. Even better. So if you can maybe send that link over, you can also find that.
Yes.
All right. A question from Shashank, can Unity support Arnold shaders? No, it does not. You got to write the shaders inside Unity. Reason for that is Arnold is a very offline shader mechanism, whereas Unity uses real-time techniques, so the shaders are not compatible. Question from Salim, can we do or control facial expressions using programming? Absolutely. I showed you earlier this example of the digital human, this indie developer who had created a digital human, and he was controlling it just using the iPhone facial capture, and that was done programmatically. Okay, question from Abhishek, is Unity Mars/Heretic available in personal package to test as a beginner? So Heretic is completely free. You can just download the VFX package and the digital human package from our website. It's completely free. Unity Mars, you get a 45-day trial version that you can try it out, and you don't need to contact anyone. It's just available directly from the website. Okay. Question: what is the editor in Unity for making photorealistic shaders? So high definition render pipeline automatically supports physically based shaders. So if you want to create photorealistic shaders, the shader graph, that is a node-based editor that is already available inside Unity, will help you create the photorealistic shaders. At the same time, if you, that's what you use, yeah. Question from Akash, when will HDRP grass paint and tree paint become stable? That's a very weird question. If you want to paint grass and paint trees, you can do it already. I don't know about the stability part of it because we have been using it. And if you have any specific question about the stability, you can just hook me up at arvind@unity3.com and I can answer that for you. Okay, question from Gopim. Can you detail on collaborative development for virtual productions? I kind of touched upon that a very little bit, but fundamentally, because Unity is built on top of keeping collaborative workflow in mind, you have a lot of tools and a lot of features within Unity that allows you to merge scenes or work simultaneously. So as I mentioned earlier, you can have a set designer who's working on a separate set. You can have the lighting artist working on a separate scene. You can have the animators working on a separate separate scene. And Unity helps you put all of this together in a master hierarchy. And that's how you get into collaborative development. And if you're talking specifically about virtual production, that's a longer topic. We can maybe take it I don't think we have the bandwidth to talk about it right now, but definitely email me and we can have a longer conversation about it. I can also get you a lot more detail about it. At the same time, if you also go to unity.com or just search for Unity Virtual Production, we have a pretty extensive page that talks specifically about it. Question from Abhimanyu, where can I learn this real-time animation in Unity? As I mentioned previously, you can go to Unity Learn Premium and it's a free course about 20 hours long that lets you that takes you step by step over real-time animation. Okay, question from Akash, is there any plan for adding LOD generation tools internally? You can have LOD generation through a partner office called Pixies, where it automatically generates LODs for you. So if you're using Pixies, you can absolutely use that for LOD generation. Yeah. Question from Manish, how stable is ProBuilder to build AEC application and use it in real time or use it in runtime? Yeah, it's very stable. ProBuilder has been out in production for a very long time. You can definitely use it, not in just AEC applications, but in any application. Okay, question from Devesh, does Unity support out of core rendering? I am not sure what that means. Devesh, can you maybe explain that? I don't think I'm familiar with the term of out of core rendering. Forgive me for that. Anand Prakash, can we create V-Ray lighting inside Unity for interior design? You cannot import V-Ray lighting, but because HDRP supports physically accurate lighting, you can recreate the same kind of lighting inside Unity, and you can use it for interior design or whatever that you want to be doing. Yeah. Okay, question from Raghavendra. Okay, there's a lot of questions. I really need to pick up pace. Okay, can we get the objects behave as if they do in real world based upon mass and shape with respect to their movement? Yes, you can. Unity has a built-in physics engine, so you can make it behave exactly like how it would in the real time. Akash, when will Enlighten come back or Robo Lightmakers come back to HDRP or URP? We have kind of deprecated Enlighten. We are now using our own progressive light mapper, which is both CPU and GPU enabled. So that's what we'll be taking forward with. Okay, question from Anand. Can you explain about Unity Mars? How is it useful and what are the new features in it? Unity Mars is an editor environment that lets you create augmented reality experience. It's built on top of AR Foundation and it is spatially aware, which means we're creating an animation that needs to work in pretty much any kind of environment. It uses a fuzzy logic, it's a fuzzy technique in order to figure out, in order to intelligently place your augmented reality animations in there. Okay, question from Deepak. Can we do compositing? Oh, sorry, question from Kagendra. How can I use Unity in live production? Okay, that's a pretty broad question. I would definitely recommend that you Google Unity virtual production and you would be able to find a lot of information about it. I briefly touched upon that with Love and 50 Megatons, which is a production that we worked on previously. You can definitely check it out. Question from Deepak, can we do compositing in Unity? Yeah, absolutely. So in Unity, what you see is what you get. So I wouldn't really call it compositing because that word has a very different connotation. But in traditional sense, yeah, you absolutely can do compositing inside Unity. Okay, when will ambient occlusion and SSR come to URP? It's a good question. I don't have a timeline for it. I don't believe it will even be out for URP because it's pretty computationally heavy. But I don't really have a time for that, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. A question from Ram. Alembic material information is not supported by Unity. What to do for that? That's not correct. Alembic material is absolutely supported by Unity. You can definitely use that. Use it for that. Okay. Jitendra had a question, which is, can we create our own particle and use them in the project? What do you mean create your own particle? As in, do you mean creating it in Maya and bringing it inside Unity? You can, but I would kind of recommend that you use Unity's own VFX graph or the particle system to do that. Question from Ashwani rather. Can we get alpha render out of Unity? Yeah, you can. With the AOV recorder, you can get render passes out. You can get alpha renders, beauty passes, occlusion passes, and all of that. Question from Puneet. Will there be a virtual Unite this year? It's actually happening right now. Unite Now is what we are calling it. And Unite is, and we are putting out talks, which were originally supposed to be part of Unite. And that's happening right now. Yeah, definitely check it out.
Arvind, sorry to interrupt. Meanwhile, Manoj would like to just leave some message in the screen. So if you could just, give this. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. All right. I think I'm almost reaching the end. Okay. Let's see. Oh no, I lost chat. There is chat. Okay. Is there any limitations for textures and shaders for movie production in Unity? In games, it's there, right, for different platforms like mobile, PC. So in movie production, is there limitations and restrictions? Yeah. So as I mentioned previously, at the end of the day, you still have to keep. If the question is, do you have to keep optimization in mind? Yes, you do have to keep optimization in mind. But behind the scenes, we have done a lot of work that ensures that you're able to get this filmic quality, and you don't have to compromise on your creative vision in order to work with this texture. So we created a lot of tools, as I mentioned earlier, like the tessellation shader and the shader graph and VFX graph and whatnot, that allows you to not compromise on your visual quality. But you still have to keep, while you don't have to be as aware of optimization as you would do for a game, but having a awareness about game optimization would definitely help. Yeah. Okay, question from Akash again. Actually, grass tool in HDRP terrain is not work from 2017, still not fixed. Any plan to bring it back in the future? I'm not sure, Akash, actually. Particularly about the grass tool, I have to probably get back to you on that. Maybe you can just hit me up on my email and we can have and I can check back with the production team and get back to you and give you a more concrete answer on that. Okay, question from Swapnil. Can we add 3D assets and real footage like VFX, Amera, match moving? Yeah, you can add 3D assets inside a real footage. In fact, that's what virtual production is all about. You can. Is mass of Maya move into Unity for forests? I'm not sure I understand that question, Rajan. Maybe you could help me with that. Okay, another question from Akash. Any TAA in HDRP is so blurry, especially in moving object. Is there any plan adding any new anti-aliasing or fixing existing? That's a very subjective thing. In fact, temporal anti-aliasing is production ready. If you have any specific scene, you can again hook me up and I can take a look at it. But temporal anti-aliasing, if there is a blur, it usually could be happening if your camera is moving. And what I have seen particularly is it is not very noticeable that if there is a blur with temporal anti-aliasing. But if there's any specific problem that you have, you can hook me up. Okay, question from Saikiran. Is Unity switching to 2 tech releases instead of 3? Yes, we are. We are now not doing 3 releases. We are only doing 2 releases per year. question from Akash repeating the same question. When will ambient occlusion SSR come to URP? I don't believe it is coming because it's computationally heavy stuff. But if they are working on it, I don't have a timeline on that. Yeah. Cool. I think with that,
Yes.
I pretty much complete all the questions.
Thank you so much, Arvind. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, and you had patiently gone through all the queries and you have answered them. Really happy, and thank you for that. And to all the participants, thanks for attending this session. Now, Manoj will be leaving a link for the feedback in the chat window. And, all your feedbacks are very, very important for us. Do be also critical so that we will be able to better the format and better the content for you in the coming presentations. As I told in the initial stages of this session, the whole idea of Sniper conducting the Synergy 2020 series of webinars and events is to ensure that our clients are able to get hold of the latest trends and technologies. They are able to, try it out, adapt it, and bring it as part of their production pipeline. My contact is there in the screen for you. If you need any evaluation copies, if you are having any trouble, or if you have any queries during your trial and error time frame, please feel free to mail, message, or call us anytime. And thank you so much for the session. Thank you so much, Arvind.
No problem. No problem. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Arvind. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.